Jackson Radio Show.
I'm just going to say this. Hillary Clinton's a bonehead. And I said it earlier. If you supported Hillary Clinton, you need to have yourself checked. If you supported her and you no longer support her, I'll give you a pass. If you supported her and you still support her, you are a bonehead moron. True. Just a fact. Don't be mad at me for telling you the truth about yourself. Kevin Jackson's who you're listening to, KJRadio.com. I mean, I listen to these people talk about the left. I don't think they're ever going to get it. I want to play a clip, get that clip on I think his name's Vanderhay. Anyway, he talks about Trump voters. These are people that want to convince you to come check them out in the next election. The very people like the liberals who say, we're going to raise your taxes. So what? Trump's deal worked. We're going to raise your taxes. But here's a guy named Vanderhay. I think he owns Axios. And he's talking about Trump voters. I want you to tell me if this would convince you that you need to go vote for the Democrats.
This is Donald Trump's party now. If you look at his message in the final week, it's not about tax cuts. It's about sanctuary cities. It's about being weak on crime. It's about being anti-America, anti-God. Like those things, they believe, are what will resonate with the people who turned out for Donald Trump.
Where do these people come from? That Donald Trump is anti-American and anti-God. There couldn't be a more pro-American dude on the planet than Donald Trump. And even though I wouldn't call him the strongest Christian, he's certainly not anti-God, and he's proven that. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson is who you're listening to. These people are phonies, man. And the level of desperation, and you see it when they try to flip the script. Maybe that worked in the old days. It doesn't work any longer. I was listening. There was a person that made this quote. He said, I'm not different for the sake of being different, only for the desperate sake of being myself. I can't join your gang. You think I was a phony, and I'd know it. See, that's the way I look at the Democrats. If you want to be a part of that, you got to be a phony. How can you possibly believe that tell me that you believe that with this guy Vanderhay. This is a guy who's in a position of authority. He's on MSNBC or CNN or whatever, and he's telling you that Donald Trump is anti-American and anti-God. Who in their wildest dreams would believe such nonsense? I think it was Thoreau who said, it's a characteristic of wisdom not to do desperate things. Get to the point where, when you get to the point of desperation, it means you haven't planned. Desperation is like kind of a last resort thing. As a grown man, there should be very few things that make you desperate. You should have planned for that all throughout your life. And now when a situation hits, you're ready to avoid desperation. Rarely will you do something right in desperation. Rarely. Now you'll learn from it, but it should be a process. Oh man. I'm thinking about everything that's going on, all these things that are attacking our sensibilities. And it made me think of this. It made me think of, what's the opposite of desperation? Well, it's calm. It's that simple. It's calm. I talked earlier about the tempo of a show, a radio show, and how I would desperately want to fill because I thought that's what you wanted. Talk, Kevin, talk. You got a lot to say, man. A lot to get it in. You don't want to talk about the same thing. Come on, just fill it up. And then it hit me. Nope. It's not what you want. Should I provoke thought in you? Absolutely. But once I provoke thought, you need to take over and you need to have a time to consider it. So I could say something like, man, okay, let's just recap real quickly. Barack Obama, scandalous administration. So where do we begin? Do we begin in Benghazi? Was that scandalous? Do we begin with the VA scandal where he was killing veterans on waiting lists? Do we begin with the Fast and Furious scandal where he put arms into Mexico? What about when he was doing things against the conservatives with the IRS? Do we start there? Or maybe we start with the FISA scandal, the new thing And I was talking about trust earlier. Do you trust Obama? I can give you those. Those are the scandals. Would you trust him in war as a military person? Would you trust him as a member of your State Department, particularly on 9/11? Where would you trust him? Would you trust him as a conservative? Would you trust him as a member of the Border Patrol? Would you trust him on gun control? Is he going to tell you the truth on anything? What do you know about him? Now let me calm down and let you think about it. That's the toughest thing to learn in this business, is respect the audience enough so you guys can have time to figure it out. See, I'm not telling you how to feel. I'm just telling you, here's the things that I consider when I'm prepping for this show, when I'm thinking about what we're going to talk about. And you know what? Sometimes it's repetitive. I'll talk to kids, you train them, and they're like, you told me that, sir. You told me that. Yeah, I know. Keep my glove on the ground. Keep my glove on the ground. Yeah, you know why I tell you? Because you keep raising your glove up, you clown. Keep telling you the same thing. If I tell you to keep your arm up and we're sparring, it's because you're keeping your arm down. Next time I'm just going to knock your little head off. Keep your arm up. Keep your arm up. I know to keep my arm up, Mr. Jackson. Okay, I'm not going to tell you again. Just pop them. What was that for? I'm not going to tell you. Yeah, keep your arm up, clown. So, Hillary Clinton. That's what I really want to talk about. She's in India, talking smack. And here's what she had to say.
If you look at the map of the United States, there's all that red in the middle where Trump won. Now, I win the coasts, I win, Illinois and Minnesota, places like that. But what the map doesn't show you is that I won the places that represent 2/3 of America's gross domestic product. So I won the places that are optimistic, diverse, dynamic, moving forward. And his whole campaign, Make America Great Again, was looking backwards. You didn't like black people getting rights. You don't like women, getting jobs. You don't want to, see that Indian American succeeding more than you are. Whatever your problem is, I'm going to solve it.
Wow. Where do you start? Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Hillary Clinton. She won the optimistic places. I don't know if she really looked hard at that map. Hillary Clinton won the coast and the inner cities. And she talks about the GDP. What does she think? The overwhelming population of people, of factories are in those areas. But I tell you what, I'd take conservatives and I'd give her all that she thinks she's won. I'd give it to her. I'd say, you can have that part of the country. And I'd take conservatives, and I'll tell you what, they would be fighting each other on who's going to eat who gets to eat grandma within a decade. They'd be like Venezuela, eating their pets, and we'd be thriving. Businesses would leave the cities, they'd leave the coast, and they'd come to middle America, and you could wrap your arms around the rest of the country and just bump the coast into the ocean. That's how bad it would be. Wouldn't take long at all. Let Hillary be the leader of those clowns. I'd love to see it. Anyway, I want to cover something else when we come back that Hillary said. Keep it here.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.